What if I told you that the real reason your legs feel cold, heavy, and swollen has nothing to do with your heart, and everything to do with a pump your doctor probably never mentioned exists? You know exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling every morning when you sit on the edge of the bed and your feet feel like they belong to a stranger. The ankles that look normal at breakfast and unrecognizable by dinner, the cold that starts at your toes and never fully goes away, even under warm blankets. You've been told to walk more, to elevate your feet, to wear compression socks. And maybe you've tried all of that, and your legs still feel the same. Here's what you were never told. Your legs have their own circulation pump, completely separate from your heart, built directly into your calf muscles. And after 60, that pump quietly starts shutting down. Today, I'm going to show you the one movement a vascular surgeon would prescribe first, before any medication, before any procedure, and you can do it right now from your chair. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Simple number 1. The ankle alphabet, the forgotten exercise vascular surgeons use after leg surgery. Here's something most people never hear until they're lying in a hospital bed after leg surgery. And honestly, that's too late in the recovery room, before a patient is fully awake, before they've had their first meal, before any physical therapist walks through the door. The nursing staff is already moving their ankles. Not their knees, not their hips. Their ankles. There's a reason for that, and it matters far more than most people realize. Your ankle joint is the gatekeeper of your entire lower leg circulation. Every time that joint moves, even slightly, it creates a squeeze and release effect through the surrounding muscles and veins that physically pushes blood back up toward the heart. Surgeons know that if the ankle stays still too long after a procedure, blood pools, clots form, and recovery gets complicated fast. The same exact process happens in your everyday life, just more slowly and quietly. The ankle alphabet is exactly what it sounds like. You sit comfortably in a chair or on the edge of your bed, lift one foot just a few inches off the floor, and use your big toe to trace each letter of the alphabet in the air. Large, deliberate movements that take your ankle through every direction of its natural range of motion. One full alphabet per foot. That's it. No equipment, no standing, no risk of losing your balance. What makes this different from a simple ankle roll is the variety of movement. Every letter forces the joint to change direction slightly, which means more muscle fibers get recruited, more veins get compressed, and more stagnant blood gets moving. Most people do this once and immediately feel a subtle warmth spreading up through the calf. That is not coincidence. That is circulation responding exactly the way it should. Do this every morning before your feet touch the floor, and again in the evening if your legs feel heavy. 10 letters in, you'll understand why surgeons trust it. But waking up the ankle is only the beginning, because the real pump lives just above it, and most people have no idea it's been slowly shutting down for years. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. Simple number 2. The bedside calf squeeze. Do this before your feet touch the floor. Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, how long does it take before your legs actually feel like yours again? Not sore, not painful, just slow heavy. Like they belong to someone older than you. Most people chalk that up to age and push through it. But what's actually happening in those first few minutes has nothing to do with age and everything to do with a pump that hasn't been turned on yet. During the night, your body lies still for 6, 7, 8 hours. Your heart keeps beating, yes, but the secondary circulation system in your lower legs, the one that depends entirely on muscle movement to push blood back upward against gravity, has been completely offline. By the time your alarm goes off, fluid is quietly settled into your ankles and feet, the way water sinks to the bottom of a glass. That's why your first steps feel wooden. That's why your shoes feel tighter in the morning than they did when you went to bed. Your legs haven't failed you. They just haven't been primed yet. The bedside calf. Squeeze fixes that before you ever stand up. Here's how you do it. Sit on the edge of your bed with both feet flat on the floor directly under your knees. Keep your heels pressed down and slowly pull your toes and the front of your foot up towards your shins as far as they'll comfortably go. You'll feel the muscles along your shin engage and the back of your calf begin to stretch. Hold that for 2 full seconds. Then reverse it completely. Press your toes downward toward the floor as if you're pushing a gas pedal all the way to the mat, and hold that for 2 seconds. That's 1 complete squeeze cycle. Do 15 on each side, alternating at a slow and controlled pace. What you're doing in those few minutes is manually activating the calf muscle pump before gravity gets a chance to work against you. Each contraction squeezes the deep veins in the lower leg, and each release creates a gentle suction that draws more blood down from above. The system works exactly like a hand pump on a well, but only if someone works the handle. This movement works the handle. The difference people notice is not dramatic at first. It's quieter than that. The first step feels a little more solid. The floor feels closer. The hesitation that used to live in that moment between sitting and standing starts to shrink. Over days, that adds up to something real. Do this every single morning, no exceptions, no shortcuts, before your feet touch the floor. Not after you've already stood up and shuffled to the kitchen. Before that timing is the entire point. And if you think 2 simple movements are already making a difference, wait until you see what happens when you take this same idea and apply it to the hours you spend sitting in a chair, because that's where most of the damage quietly happens. Simple number 3, the standing wall pump, 60 seconds that change your whole afternoon. Here's something I want you to think about honestly. After lunch, what does your afternoon actually look like? For most people over 60, it's a recliner, a television, maybe a book, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You've earned the rest. But here is what nobody tells you is happening inside your legs during that time, and it's important enough that I need you to understand it clearly. Every 30 minutes you sit without moving, blood and fluid begin pooling in the lowest point available, your ankles, your feet, the tissue just beneath the skin of your lower legs. It doesn't announce itself. There's no alarm, no signal, no pain at first. It happens the way a slow leak fills a basement, quietly, gradually, and then suddenly you look down at 4 o'clock and your ankles have disappeared into your socks. That is not a mystery. That is physics working against a pump that went quiet. The standing wall pump is your interruption. It takes 60 seconds. It requires nothing but a wall or a kitchen counter and your own body weight, and it creates a calf contraction strong enough to push a meaningful volume of blood back up through the venous system in a single set. Here's exactly how to do it. Stand facing your kitchen counter or place both hands lightly against a wall for support. Feet hip-width apart, chest tall, eyes forward. From that position, slowly rise up onto the balls of both feet, lifting your heels as high as they'll comfortably go, and pause at the top for a full 3 seconds. Not a quick bounce, a deliberate hold long enough to feel the calf muscles fully contracted and working. Then lower your heels back down with control, taking about 2 seconds on the way down. That controlled descent is not an afterthought. The muscle is still working as you lower, and that's where a significant portion of the circulatory benefit actually lives. 10 repetitions, a 15-second rest, then 10 more, that's your 60 seconds. Done at the counter while your coffee reheats, done after lunch before you sit back down, done during a commercial break when you step into the kitchen for a glass of water. The beauty of this movement is that it fits inside moments you already have. It doesn't require carving out extra time from your day because the time is already there. What changes when you do this consistently is not just the afternoon swelling. People who build this habit report that their legs feel meaningfully lighter by early evening, that the tight, pressured feeling around the ankles arrives later in the day or not at all. That's not anecdotal. That's the calf pump doing its job instead of sitting idle. 60 seconds, a few times a day, is the difference between legs that fill up and legs that keep moving. But standing is only part of the equation, because the hours you spend sitting down are just as important as the moments you spend on your feet, and the next movement turns every chair in your house into a circulation tool. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below. To let me know you're here now, let's keep going with point number 4. Simple number 4, the chair toe press and release, the circulation trick you can do during the evening news. There's a window of time every evening that most people completely waste from a circulation standpoint. And I don't mean that as a criticism, I mean it as an opportunity. Between 6 and 9 o'clock, the average American senior is sitting in the same chair watching the same news program with both feet resting flat and perfectly still on the floor. Meanwhile, their legs are doing exactly what gravity has been asking them to do all day, holding on to fluid, swelling quietly, tightening around the ankle, making tomorrow morning's first steps just a little bit harder than they needed to be. Here is what I want you to understand, that sitting time is not wasted time if you know what to do with it. Your chair is not the enemy. Stillness is the chair. Toe press and release is built specifically for that evening window. You don't need to get up. You don't need to change what you're watching. You perform this movement right where you already are, and it takes less focus than following a conversation on television. Sit with your back reasonably straight and both feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Your knees should be bent close to 90 degrees, not tucked under the chair, not stretched far out in front of you. From that position, press both heels firmly down into the floor and lift your toes and the front of your feet upward toward your shins as high as they'll go. Hold that position for 2 seconds, long enough to feel the muscles along your shins fully engage, then reverse it completely. Keep your heels planted and press your toes downward into the floor as though you're trying to grip the carpet with the front of your foot. Hold that for 2 seconds. That's one full cycle. Work through 15 repetitions, rest briefly, then add a slow rotation. Keeping your heel on the ground, draw 5 wide circles with your toes going clockwise, then 5 going counterclockwise. Repeat on the other side. What makes this movement particularly valuable in the evening is timing. By late afternoon, fluid has had an entire day to migrate downward. The lower leg is already working against a backlog. These gentle but consistent contractions create enough pressure through the calf and shin muscles to begin moving that fluid back into circulation. Not all of it, but enough to make a real and noticeable difference by the time you stand up to go to bed. People are often surprised by how much lighter their legs feel after a single commercial break of doing this correctly. That surprise is worth paying attention to because it tells you something your body has been waiting to demonstrate, that the pump still works. It just needed to be asked. Make this your evening habit. Every commercial break, every 20 minutes, every time the anchor throws to weather, your legs are not resting during those minutes, they are working. And that distinction is what separates people who wake up with swollen ankles from people who don't. The chair handles the evenings, but there's a way to undo the damage gravity has been collecting all day in a single deliberate 10-minute window. And most people are doing it wrong every time they try. Simple number 5, the gravity reversal. Why 10 minutes lying down the right way beats an hour of walking. Almost every patient I've ever spoken to with leg swelling has told me the same thing. Their doctor said elevate your feet, so they do. They prop their ankles up on a pillow, lean back in the recliner, and wait. And after 20 minutes, they sit back up and their legs feel almost exactly the same as before, so they conclude that elevation doesn't really work for them, and they stop doing it. That conclusion is understandable. It is also wrong. The elevation wasn't the problem. The execution was. There is a significant difference between resting your feet on a surface that happens to be slightly higher than the floor and genuinely reversing the gravitational pressure that has been compressing fluid into your lower legs for the past 8 to 10 hours. The first is comfort. The second is medicine. And the gap between them comes down to angle, position, and what you do with your body while you're lying there. Here is how to do this correctly. Lie flat on your back, on your bed, on a firm sofa, on the floor, if that's accessible and safe for you. Place 2 to 3 firm pillows or a folded blanket directly under your calves and heels so that your feet are elevated a minimum of 6 inches above the level of your heart, not 6 inches above the mattress. 6 inches above your heart. That distinction matters enormously because fluid does not move upward unless the angle actually demands it. A gentle incline does very little. A true elevation puts gravity on your side for the first time all day. Once you're in that position, you do not simply lie still. Stillness is what allowed the fluid to accumulate in the first place. Instead, perform slow ankle pumps. Toes up toward the shins for 2 seconds, toes pressed downward for 2 seconds, for 20 repetitions. Rest 1 minute. Then repeat. Over the course of 10 to 15 minutes, the combination of correct elevation and active muscle contraction creates a flushing effect through the lower leg that passive rest alone cannot replicate. The muscles squeeze, the veins empty, and the fluid that has been sitting in your ankles since mid-morning finally has both the angle and the assistance it needs to move. The reason 10 minutes done this way outperforms an hour of flat walking is straightforward. Walking on level ground uses the calf pump effectively, but it does nothing to overcome the existing backlog of fluid. You are pumping against gravity while the fluid fights to stay exactly where it is. Elevation removes that resistance entirely. You are no longer fighting uphill. You are working with a system that has finally been tilted in your favor. Do this after lunch and again 30 minutes before bed. Those 2 windows, practiced consistently, can change the condition of your legs more than almost any other single adjustment you make to your daily routine. But before I show you the one movement that brings everything in this video together, there is something I need to tell you first. Something serious. And if any part of it applies to you, I need you to stop and pay very close attention. Important warning. When poor leg circulation is not just poor circulation. Everything I've shown you today is designed for people whose legs need better circulation, not for people whose legs are sending emergency signals. And before we go any further, I need you to know the difference, because getting that wrong is not something I'm willing to let happen. If you notice sudden swelling in only one leg, not both, just one, stop everything and call your doctor today. That asymmetry can indicate a blood clot, and a blood clot does not respond to ankle pumps. It responds to medical treatment, and it responds to time. If you press your finger into the swollen area and the dent stays there for several seconds after you release, that is pitting edema, and it needs to be evaluated. If the skin on your lower leg feels warm to the touch, looks red or unusually shiny, or if you have any open sores near the ankle that haven't healed in 2 weeks, those are not circulation problems you manage at home. Chest tightness combined with leg swelling, sudden shortness of breath, or calf pain that wakes you from sleep. Call 911. Not tomorrow, not after the video. These exercises are for people cleared to move. If any of this sounds familiar, your first call is to your physician, not your remote control. Now, for everyone still with me, what comes next is the most important movement in this entire video. The payoff. The 90-second morning reset, the one movement a surgeon would prescribe first. We've covered a lot of ground today. And if you've been watching this far, I think I know something about you. You're not looking for a quick fix. You're looking for something real, something that actually makes sense, that you can trust, and that you can do without needing a gym membership, a piece of equipment, or someone to help you. You want your legs back. Not perfect legs, just legs that feel like yours again. This is that something. If I could prescribe only one thing for every patient over 60 dealing with poor leg circulation, one sequence that activates the ankle, wakes up the calf pump, restores blood flow to the feet, and prepares the entire lower body for the demands of a real day, it would be this. 90 seconds, every morning before your feet ever touch the floor. Not after coffee, not after the bathroom, before any of that. Because the moment you stand up and start moving on cold, unprepared legs is the moment you've already missed the window. Here is exactly how it works. The moment you wake up, sit on the edge of your bed. Feet flat on the floor, hands resting lightly on your thighs, chest tall enough to breathe comfortably. The first 30 seconds belong to your ankles. Use your big toe to trace the letters, A through M in the air. 1 foot at a time, large, deliberate movements, slow enough to feel every direction change. This is not a warm-up. This is the ignition. The next 30 seconds belong to your calves. 15 slow pump cycles on each foot, toes pulled up toward the shin for 2 seconds, pressed down toward the floor for 2 seconds. No rushing, no bouncing. Just a steady, controlled squeeze and release that tells the venous pump it has a job to do today. The final 30 seconds belong to your whole leg. Lift your right knee gently toward your chest, just a few inches, enough to feel the thigh and hip engage. Hold for 2 seconds, lower with control. Then the left, 10 times each side, alternating, hands on your thighs for light stability. By the time you finish that last repetition, your ankles are mobile, your calves are primed, your hips are awake, and your circulation system has received a clear, unambiguous signal that the day has started. Then you stand up, and that first step, the one that used to feel uncertain, wooden, like you were borrowing someone else's legs, feels different. Steadier, more connected to the floor beneath you. I won't promise you dramatic results overnight. What I will tell you, based on everything I know about how the venous system responds to consistent movement, is that people who commit to this sequence every single morning for 10 days report less morning stiffness, less afternoon swelling, and a quiet but meaningful return of confidence in how their legs carry them through the day. Not because something miraculous happened, but because they stopped asking a cold, idle pump to perform on demand and started giving it 90 seconds to prepare. That is the prescription, 90 seconds every morning. No exceptions. Your legs have been working for you your entire life. This is the least we can do in return. Your legs have been patient long enough. Before this video ends, I want you to do one thing right now wherever you're sitting. Press both heels into the floor and lift your toes up toward your shins. Hold for 2 seconds, then press your toes down. Hold for 2 seconds. Do that 10 times. That's it. Don't wait until tomorrow morning. Don't save it for later. 10 pumps right now is how every real change actually begins, with one small movement that proves to your body you're still paying attention. If you've been living with swollen ankles, cold feet, heavy legs, or that uncertain first step every morning, type the word RESET in the comments below. Let me know you're starting today. I read every single one, and you deserve to know you're not doing this alone. And if this video helped you, share it with your spouse, your sister, your neighbor down the street. Poor leg circulation is one of those things people suffer through in silence, assuming it's simply what getting older feels like. It doesn't have to feel that way. If this reached you, type 1 in the comments. If I missed the mark, type 0. I want to know either way. Like this video, subscribe for more, and thank you for trusting me with your time today. Here's to legs that carry you exactly where you want to go.